to have you here. Now, I'm just going to use my regular street voice. You guys can hear okay in the back? Yep. Okay. First of all, a couple introductions here. I know most of you. I don't know all of you. I'm Mark Rollis. I'm the principal of the high school here. It's my first year here at the high school, my third time at it. I taught here for a while. I was high school principal, left 9 years at the middle school. You know, I'm back again. It's exciting to be here. We have several staff members here. Thanks, staff, for being here. And then Steve Dinkle, associate principal. He's also back. Steve was a high school health teacher and phy ed teacher. Coached sports here for a number of years, and has been coaching down here at Whitewater for 12 years. 12 years. And then took a full-time spot down there for a period of time, coaching as well as teaching in the health department there at UW Whitewater, and excited to be back as well. So today was freshman only first day, as you know. I think it went well. You have to ask your youngsters what they said, but it seemed to go pretty well overall. And I also am aware that we've got conflicts. Once you get into high school schedule, there's conflicts with stuff all the time. There's some tennis going on tonight. There's freshman football, freshman/JV football game tonight, and a volleyball game that got scheduled. So we are going to put this out on the web, on the high school webpage here, in case you run into some friends or whatever. You're here, so I'm preaching to the choir, but in case you run into some people that couldn't make it, this will be out and about later. So we'll try to cut this fairly short. At registration, we had a little survey that went out on August 1st out to the parents, just saying, what is it you want to hear about? Do you want to talk about freshman homerooms? Do you want to talk about the nuts and bolts of the day, what the schedule looks like, where to put your lunch money, where the buses pick up and drop off? Do you want to talk about curriculum issues, those sorts of things? By far, overwhelmingly, when those surveys came back in, it was more of the nuts and the bolts. People just wanted to hear about pick up, drop off time. What about dress code? What about where to drop off money for lunch? All those types of things. A big long checklist. So put together a presentation about that. I'll certainly take questions throughout, or maybe even better off at the very end. And then also at the end, if you want, some of you know the building well. You have had siblings or children that are older than freshmen that have come through before. And so you know the building already. The building's new, so you may or may not. If you want a tour afterwards, find myself and Mr. Dinkle in the auditorium lobby out here. We'll be happy to take you on a tour of the facility and walk around. So we're excited to be here, and again, welcome. I'm operating this thing here. We'll see. Again, a couple of the minor things. It was just the nuts and the bolts of the school day that we heard that people wanted to hear about, so we'll certainly make sure that we cover that throughout the evening here. If you haven't seen our new Eagle, $24,000 worth of donated dollars since about a year ago, and if you have a chance, stop out there. The landscaping isn't done yet, but the cement work is in, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It's been a great story as we watch what the class of 1967 put together, and Kay Reiners will introduce Kay to the student body tomorrow morning, but she's done a great job, so stop out there and see the new Eagle if you get a chance. Again, some of the logistical things. First of all, the day itself. Start time, 7:50, and then you'll see on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we've got our block schedules, and the start time's at 8:05. Our end time, every day of the week, at 3:05. So again, 7:50, but on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, our block schedule, start time for students, that's 8:05, and then end time at 3:05. Monday, Thursday, Friday, all periods meet, and on Tuesday, blocked odd classes, and on Wednesday, blocked even classes. So odd classes on that Tuesday, classes 1, 3, 5, and 7, and then 2, 4, 6, and 8 meet on Wednesday. On Tuesday, we'll run a homeroom schedule, and on Wednesday, we'll run the enrichment club schedule from what we've had in the past. Also, early dismissal days are also on that schedule. There's a handout today, so make sure you take a look at that. Buses driving in parking lots. Several things. This campus has got parking lots all over. So get an idea in terms of where you want to park and where you should pick up and drop off students. Bus drop off in the AM. All right. Buses will still drop off behind the high school, back up on this side. They'll walk in by the cafeteria. Then they'll head over to the middle school 5112, if you're looking at finding out what time buses pick you up out in your area in the morning, and roughly what time they'll drop you off at the end of the day. So if you're curious as to what that is, for those of you that live within a 2-mile radius of the school and you want to contract with the bus company, so we don't provide busing within that 2-mile radius. That's a rough estimated number there for you, but roughly a 2-mile radius. If you want to contract with the bus company, you can do that. So there's the phone number for the bus company up on the screen. Bus pickup of the PM. School's out at 3:05. Mr. Featherson's one of our bus supervisors. You'd say they're basically picking them up at about 3:15. Pulling out by 3:15.
Yeah, easily.
Okay. And it's always amazing. It amazes me at the middle school as well how quick that time happens. But when you think about it, how organized we're asking students to be, you get to your locker, grab your stuff, get outside, and between the middle school, the high school, East and West, which has the shuttle buses, St. John's Catholic, St. John's Lutheran, and well, not St. Pete's, that'd be different, but the 2 St. John's schools in town, all those students are shuttled over to the high school, and roughly 800 riders in any one transition are all taking place. The middle school and the high school both get done at 3:05, and by 3:18, 3:19, they're pulling out. The first week of school, the little shavers, getting escorts all over the place to make sure it made another 5, 6, 7 minutes long before we get out. By the second week of school, they pretty much have it down, and students are organized enough to get to their locker to grab what they need and head on out. So they're home on time, and it's not a long time. But about 3:15, easily by 3:15, the shuttle bus at the end of the day on this side. Now let me talk about that for a moment. Why do we have high school students who are certainly capable to walk across the street on their own and head over to the middle school? And part of that came up, our police departments looked at all of the configurations with West Elementary, the high school, and the middle school all on one campus, and the amount of traffic that goes back and forth. You guys have seen it after school, for those who've been around, there's a lot of traffic, and we're trying to reduce the amount of congestion after school. We just want to avoid an accident, some child getting hit, whether it's a high school student or one of the little toddlers who walked over from the elementary school. And so to avoid that, we've asked high school students to take the shuttle over anyway. It's just one less bit of bodies crossing the street, even if they're using a crosswalk, and they were really good about it. I kind of thought, boy, is this going to fly last school year? Are they really going to get on a bus to ride not even a block? And they're doing it. They get on the bus, they get off the bus, they ride over. But if you have a bus rider and they're taking that shuttle bus over to the middle school, and then they shuffle from there and get on their actual final bus, ask them to do that, please. Just a little bit more safety involved in regards to the process for us. I appreciate that. Student drivers in parking lot. We're at that age. It's high school. 16-year-olds are starting to drive. Usually by second semester of the sophomore year, that parking lot starts to fill up, and it is a privilege. We have students that are abusing the parking lot and driving in an unsafe manner. We will let them know, I'm sorry, but your driving privileges, or at least parking privileges here on school grounds is revoked until further notice, and it's just a matter of just being safe. We want kids to be safe in the parking lots, and we've all heard stories of teenagers, and so we just want to make sure they're safe. There is a fee to use for the parking lot. Some students decide to park off campus, which is their prerogative. Most of the students pay the fee and use the parking lot. We use that money to help line the parking lots and maintain and take care of the parking lots. Parent drop off in the AM and then in the PM after school. If you're driving your son or daughter to school, the best spot to drop off is by the Eagle, out on the east end of the school. Pick up and drop off right there by the cafeteria. And then finally, the staff parking lots on the west end. We ask that you not use that lot for entering the building throughout the school day or for drop off over there. The doors on the west end, back here, between here and the tennis courts, those doors will typically be locked during that time of the day. Okay? So again, pick up and drop off in the morning before school, right after school, on the east end of the school, right by the Eagle, by the cafeteria. And then during the day, we'll use the buzzer system. And so during the school day, if you're going to pick your child up in the middle of the day or head to a doctor's appointment or child's not feeling well, whatever the case is, but it's the middle of the school day, pick up and drop off right by the main office, right up Washington Street on Circle Drive. There's a buzzer system to get in. It's a safety mechanism. I think people have become used to that at the middle school over the years. Our elementary schools now have those buzzer systems in and out. And I think several years ago, when we first put that in at the middle school, it was almost offensive. This is little tiny Jefferson, and why are we doing that here? And I should walk in, it's my school, that kind of thing. I've definitely felt the culture change in that, and parents being more respectful of the fact that, hey, we're keeping our kids safe in school, and so there's reasons for that. So we're certainly not trying to invade privacy, but we, at the same time, really want to hold things accountable. When you come in the building, we really do ask that you sign in. You may know us, and we should know you, but sometimes we forget. If you see a face and you go, oh, I see you guys here in the audience, and I go, oh, recognize, but I can see you at Pick and Save or something and go, boy, I know that person from somewhere. And we don't always know the faces. And so when you come in, we ask you to stop in the main office, sign in for us, you know, and it's just for us to have an accountability as to who's in the building, and another safety piece. With all the things that have happened over the years across America, it's just one of those measures. And we've also just, not to be rude either, one of the things we'll ask is a visitor's badge. We'll have a visitor's badge when you come in the hallways. There's so many staff members in this building, we don't know who you guys are necessarily. And if you have the visitor's badge on, we'll know, yep, they checked in the office, it's all legit, they're here for a legitimate reason, and they're heading to a meeting somewhere, and it's all fine. And again, we're not trying to offend anybody, but I think it's a matter of just keeping our school, our students, and our staff safe. Breakfast and lunch. The doors up open on the east end of the building by the Eagle, by the cafeteria, at about 6:45 in the morning, because we've got a few zero-hour classes. So the doors are open on that end. By 7:20, the breakfast program starts. They shut down at about 7:50. So breakfast is available at that time frame. We have 2 lunch periods. There's a 5A and a 5B lunch, so take a look at that on the schedule as well, and you get an idea of which lunch your child's supposed to go to based on the schedule. And we do have open campus. Our open campus is for juniors and seniors only, and it's only juniors and seniors who have met the criteria. You can look at that later in the student handbook, but there's certain criteria in terms of grades and behavior, and then there's a check-in, check-out system during that time frame. I also learned, again, Mr. Featherston, when I came here this last spring and just walked around a bit, and I just found out that even the students that earned open campus during lunch, most of them just stuck around anyway. Very few students left. It's pretty accurate. Less than a handful. So I guess that says something positive about the building and something positive about our lunches, but you know, the kids are here for the most part. How do you put money in the lunch accounts? In the morning when you get here, children can go up and they can hand their lunch money to one of the workers in the lunch area, or stop up to the office later, and there's a little metal box up by Mrs. Ganser's desk, and they can submit the money. There's an envelope that says, you know, it's got name, how much going into the account, if there's any siblings, etc. You put the money and drop in the box, and then that money will end up getting deposited the following day. So if it's in the main office, that means that's after the cooks have left for the day, and it'll get deposited the following day, just so you're aware of that. You can look that up online. If you go into Power School, you'll see online that you've got access to lunch account monies, and it's also, from parents' perspective, I'm not sure if this has been as much of an issue at the high school as it has been at the middle school, but in case your child starts offering lunches to other people and that account dwindles fast, you get an idea, so you can monitor your account that way as well if they're buying their friends' food. So keep an eye on that, because we don't always know that if they are. How long is lunch? 35 minutes? Okay, 35-minute lunch. Food during the school day, classroom rules. You know, for the most part, what I look at is that if a teacher has an expectation in the classroom, no food in this particular classroom, then we honor that expectation. There will be some classrooms that will say, you know what, I'm okay with it. It's in my list of rules. As long as you clean up after yourself, it doesn't cause a mess, it doesn't cause a scene, go ahead and have some food in the classroom. You know, they talk about healthy living these days, and you eat small amounts and veggies and healthy things, and if you're eating small amounts more often, that's some healthy living, and water bottles have been acceptable, but then certainly not in certain environments. Quiet class would be another example where you wouldn't have food, you know, and in a computer lab. We wouldn't want any food or any water or any drink in the computer lab, too much expensive equipment, and so there might be expectations depending on the type of a class, and then just have your son or daughter talk to the teacher and find out what those expectations are. As far as the lockers are concerned, I'll be honest, Mr. Dinkle and I don't want to be the police of checking out who's got food in their lockers, but we also ask that if food is in your lockers, that you take it home at times. The kids can be a little rocky once in a while, and you know, and asking to clean up. The vending machines here at school are on, they're on throughout the school day, correct, staff? Vending machines are not on throughout the school day? Okay, shut off throughout the school day, turn back on at the end of the school day, okay? School store has posted hours, there's some food in there as well, and right now we're waiting because there's some pieces we have to be careful of with some of the new laws and requirements that relates to what can be served in a school store has changed, so we're waiting to get some guidance from the powers to be as to what can be housed in the school store for now. I know you can't sell soda, that kind of stuff, and we're just waiting on that for now. Technology and flows, two different big topics here. Let me start with the close piece. I'll come back to tech in just a moment. Well, I don't even know how to begin here. You've got the trends with the young men, I'll start there, seems to have gotten a little better. The trends with the pants that hang down, you know, and the boxer underwear showing, the whole thing, we're seeing a lot less than that than you probably did a decade ago, but you still have some. And we ask that young men are polite. I don't want to see their underwear any more than they want to see mine. And, you know, hike the pants up and, you know, keep them buckled. And if they want to wear them that way around somewhere else, fine. But we just ask that it's appropriate and that the boxer underwear is not showing. And then some of the guys will wear a t-shirt that hangs down to their knees, but you can still see that the pants are buckled around their thigh, you know, and the boxer underwear is hanging out, and we'll address it. You know, we're just going to talk to a youngster and say, hey, hike the pants up. You know, you're in school, wear your pants appropriately. This is a public facility, and wear the pants appropriately here. However, having said that, by no means do I want to come across sounding sexist when I say this. That is about this much of the time of the youngsters we need to talk to in comparison to the young ladies that have to get talked to. And as a male administrator, I don't want to go up and talk to a young lady about cleavage showing. I'm not going to do that. Mr. Dinkle, we haven't talked about that yet, but I prefer he to do that either. You know, we're just not going to have that conversation. But, and so we rely on our female staff, we rely on our guidance counselors, we rely on others to be able to pick up that conversation. And we ask that the abdomen is covered. We ask that the cleavage is covered, the A's, B's, and C's. Abdomen, the butt, and the cleavage, A's, B's, and C's are covered while you're in school. And then there's always that part about, you know, where's that line? Where exactly is that line? You know, the young lady that comes in and my skirt's fine, see, and put their hands to her side, and the shoulders are way up, you know, and it's just if your hands are relaxed, and it's, you know, we ask that it covers the bottom of the finger here, and it's right on the edge, and you know, how far are you going to push it? And they walk in your office and you go, see, and they hike it down a little bit first, you know, just to make sure it's there. And so then, where is that piece? And I've dealt with this so many times over the course of the last 15 years as an administrator that I wonder, boy, I wish I could just talk about math and science instead, you know, and talk about test scores, not have to talk about dress. And then the conversation sometimes go to, well, what about all the other kids? Right now I'm just talking to your child. We'll deal with the others later, you know, and or maybe they were talked to earlier today, and sometimes when they walk out of the building, it's not the same stuff they wore to school, so they're leaving the building not looking very appropriately, but they were appropriate looking when they were throughout the school day. So that sends a different message to the people that are picking up kids at the end of the day, you know. So the question is this, is that if you do get a phone call, it's probably not the first time we've talked to the child, and secondly, we're just asking for your support in advance. Just ask for support that we really could use your help. We're dealing with 600 teenagers, roughly 300 of them female, and that's not an easy road to toe when you're trying to have a dress code that makes some sense, is professional, we're in a public school, and we're just asking for your support. And then all the other things that go along with it. Hats in a building. I know high school isn't allowed. It really isn't the worst thing in the world. But we've made a decision here saying, you know what, we're just going to say we're in a public building, take our hats off. That's just what it is. And we've also talked about then various things like beer T-shirts and T-shirts that got tobacco, that kind of stuff on it. That stuff's not allowed either. And then there's also the T-shirts that got the hidden meanings. And I just would rather not get into the discussion with the child about it. You know, no, this is not talking about, you know, but it's got a double meaning. There was the squirrel one not too many years ago, about the squirrel's anatomy. It's got two different meanings in it, and you know, a number of kids are wearing that. So we just ask you guys to think about that piece as well. And if you're gonna buy the shirts for the kids, fine. Maybe you don't even know they've got the shirts; they bought it on their own. But you know, we just ask you to respect the fact that we've got some expectations there. Moving on to technology. Boy, has that changed. 15 years ago, we didn't have a cell phone rule. I was high school assistant principal at the time, or that would have been actually 16 years ago now. There was no cell phone rule. High school kids didn't walk around the hallways with them. And then all of a sudden it was, hey, you know what, leave them at home. That became the rule. Then it was, you could bring them to school, but leave them off in your locker. And that was a rule for a long time. And now we're starting to see that change. And when you go look at you know, districts across the state, and districts that you would tend to think of as some cutting-edge districts, and look at their policies and read their school board policies, thinking of a Wanakee or a Sussex Hamilton, or districts that seem to be researching things in advance and a leader type of a district, which I think we're approaching that here. But you know, I think that also what you see is there's more use. Now it's reaching the point of increasingly seeing more and more teachers say, bring the device to class. We're going to use it today. Well, and so where all of a sudden does that line draw when it comes to accessing our internet, our Wi-Fi, our filter, and what types of things are being used on that device? And so we've decided to embrace it with caution. We're hopeful that we can teach social etiquette to our students, knowing full well that we've had to teach social etiquette in a variety of things in life for many, many years. You know, health education didn't exist in public schools prior to the 1950s. Here it is, and we've had it for a long time. Now all of a sudden we're in this social etiquette of using technology. And so we've taken that school board policy, has reached a point of saying, you know what, we can bring the devices to school. And I'll go across the Mrs. Smith, health teacher, might say, you know what, we have no use for that in my classroom. There really isn't a use at all. I'm just using this as an example. I don't know what your syllabus says. So don't bring it, or we won't use it in my classroom. Another teacher, Mr. Burr, might say, you know what, we may need it at times. You bring your iPad in, bring your cell phone in. I'll tell you in advance. Tomorrow, bring your devices. We're going to use them. We'll monitor that while we're here. And then another teacher might say, Mr. Schwei, because I know he's one of them that will be saying this likely, bring them all the time. We're going to use this all the time. You are going to use a variety of technologies that are useful. We'll see this stuff being done in colleges and in the workplace. It's a part of life, and we're going to use this. And we'll learn through the process, but we ask you to understand that that's a road we're going down, and it's new. It's new for our staff as much as it is new for me and new for the students. So, go ahead.
Well, two questions. How do you safeguard against any photos being taken with an iPod Touch or cell phone, inappropriate photos, somebody not knowing their pictures being taken? And then secondly, how do you prevent somebody texting even on, I mean, you can send messages on an iPod, answers during a test or something like that. How do you prevent that?
Two-part response for you. We've got a two-part response, Roberta. The first part is that even without policies, we've had to without allowing materials to come into the school, we've had to prevent that anyway. By show of hands last year, it was just slightly over 80% of the sixth graders last school year had a cell phone at school. Okay, so regardless of whether we had a rule or not, they were bringing them. And regardless of whether we had a rule that you can't use them, they were using them. It was almost impossible. The moment that bell rang and they're walking out of the building, it was, you know, backpacks on, a shoulder, and away you go. You know, and so having said that, have we had to address that with students? Absolutely. There are laws about locker rooms and laws about bathrooms that exist. However, speaking even to adults, just because there's a law doesn't mean we all follow. And so the same thing holds true here. We have to talk to our students a lot about the types of trouble, the kind of trouble they can get into when taking an inappropriate photo in a bathroom or a locker room. Those are big time lots of trouble. So could it happen? I would never want to say here that as a principal, I'm going to prevent that from happening. I can't guarantee you that. Okay. However, I can say we take it really seriously. Whether we've got the cell phones in hand or not. I know Mr. Featherston has talked about that a fair amount already, and Mr. Beaver has already, about what those expectations are. And it is illegal to use a device in a locker room or a bathroom that captures a photo. It's illegal. That's not just a school policy. That comes from the state of Wisconsin. So that's a big deal. For parents, sending a message. You go back home tonight and talk to your son or daughter. I know they've heard this. I know they've heard it for the last couple of years, the kids that came from middle school. But if I'm a student and I take a photo of somebody in a locker room and they're naked or partially naked, and now I text that to somebody. One, I'm in possession of pornography, child pornography, that takes it up a level, okay? And I've texted to somebody, now I've distributed child pornography, okay? So you're talking potential felony type charges depending on the child's age. That's a big deal. That could be. So those are the kinds of discussions I think parents have to be having with children all the time. We're having those discussions with students all the time in classrooms. So can I safeguard that 100%? I can't. But it's the type of thing we'll be talking about. But I think that's part of our responsibility here in schools and in society and as parents to talk about social etiquette and using these devices appropriately. That's my long-winded answer. I could go on and on about that, but I can't guarantee that. I had 2 points I think available.
Well, the texting during a test or
Pardon?
during a classroom, a test, something like that.
Texting with a test or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's something we have to keep an eye on. I think it could have happened even in the past when we weren't saying bring them out. Maybe now we're saying bring them out, we can at least see the device. That might open it up. As a principal, myself and Mr. Dinkle both still have the authority to say, you know what, this has gotten out of hand. We gave you, as a student body, we gave you guys an opportunity. It's not working. It isn't just 5 kids, it's 55 kids or whatever that are crossing these lines. Sorry, we're cutting this off. No more technology in the classrooms until further notice, and you go from there. So that's built within the guidelines for us to say no. Okay, and I think it's something we just got to monitor. Okay. A couple miscellaneous things. Snow days. Keep an eye. WFAW, WTMJ, alert now messages. I think people are pretty well informed on the snow days. It seems like people are logging in early and checking, but we can check on the radio, check on TV. School lockers. Just a quick note here. I think this is another message for parents to continue to send to students. I know they hear this over the years, but some just for some reason forget. School lockers are owned by the school district. Our taxpayers paid for them. We have a right to open up a school locker. Myself and Mr. Dinkle can open the school locker at any time. And we both have keys. We can look up combinations. We have a right to look. We typically don't just go snoop around. But if we hear anything, I can hear somebody, I almost said his name, I won't, graduated about 15 years ago, an absolute class act. Just one of the classiest young men I've ever had an opportunity to work with. But somebody came to me and said, hey, Mr. Allison, I believe he's got cigarettes in his locker. Well, I'm not going to go, I'm not going to ignore that. We went and checked. He didn't have any cigarettes in his locker, but we went and checked, and we will. Then once you're checking, you have a right to check in pockets, a right to check through the backpack, a right to open up that purse, a right to look around. Again, not that we're trying to be too nosy, but you've got a right. But that's a legal responsibility that goes back to in loco parente. We're acting in lieu of a parent. What would a reasonable parent do if they thought that their child had cigarettes hidden in their bedroom? They'd go check everything out, open up the drawers, they'd check in the backpack, they'd go check it out. And so acting in lieu of the parent here on school grounds, we have a right to go check that stuff out. And we will. And then unfortunately, you go in there to look for the cigarettes or whatever it is, and you don't find cigarettes, you find some nasty note, and ripping on some other kid and whatever, and you end up, something else gets, unveiled in the process. So I talk to youngsters about just the simple fact that we have a right to look in the lockers, and if there's something in there embarrassing, then don't put it in there, Okay? Homecoming dance coming up, believe it or not, September encourage everybody to be here. And yeah, homecoming, it's early this year. 3 weeks from coming up here soon. And encourage everybody to be there. It's a great night. We've got 3 major events going on that night. It's our homecoming, first of all. It's the grand opening of our new stadium, even though we've been in a couple games already. You remember all last school year we played down at W. Whitewater. And so it's the grand opening of the new stadium, and it's the dedication of the new Eagle statue. It should all be done by the landscaping by then. So 3 big things going on that night. Encourage everybody to be here. It should be a great night. Rules and expectations about cost for the event, for the homecoming dance, and for the goings-on for that particular week. That'll all come through your homerooms coming up here soon, and appropriate dress for the dance and that kind of thing. Your homeroom teachers will share that stuff with your youngsters later. Student handbooks will get handed out either tomorrow during homeroom or the next day during homeroom. So they'll all get a copy. Freshmen didn't get those today, did they? Oh, you did? Or today. All right. Parent opportunities to help. There's a signage in the back here. If you're interested in volunteering for some things, please sign up. We're always looking for parent volunteers to help us out. Anybody get the picture? Feet of snow. Pretty good on that. All right. Yeah. All right. All right. School safety. Mark. Yes. The dance is on Saturday. The game is Friday night the 20th. The dance is on Saturday the 21st at 7 p.m. Goes to about 11, I believe. Plenty of supervision, just so you know. Keep an eye on it. All right. School safety. We run a fire drill a month. We run 2 tornado drills a year. We do a medical emergency drill here coming up this month yet. We'll do 2 lockdown drills this year that are scheduled. We have a buzzer system to check. We have to check in and sign out. The school nurse is here. She's scheduled for 24 hours a week for the district. So busy lady, but we do have a school nurse. Harassment and bullying policy, and we're seeing a reduction, slowly but surely. We're seeing a reduction in harassment and bullying across the school district. That's good news. Medications in the building. If you have medications, make sure that they're labeled appropriately. Turn into the office. Your son or daughter can take the medications through the main office. We have a camera system on all the buses now, as well as camera systems for all the building and grounds, and that has been a major deterrent. That has really helped. The camera system is it's alive and working well. That includes the indoors and the outdoors. And so, anyway, just letting you guys know that in terms of making sure that we've got the types of things put into place to make this a safe place, I believe we've got a lot of things done. Our lockdown and bomb threat procedures have been practiced with the staff already. We've got one more meeting tomorrow night with some staff members again. We've been through that whole piece. We've got an expert coming in later on this month to walk through a few other things in regards to that whole component. So I know it's front and center in America these days, and we've got, in fact, he was a Jefferson grad back in the early 80s, and he's written a book on school safety, and he's coming in to meet with the administrative team later on this month, and we're going to make some fine little changes to our program one more time. It's come a long way. We've got a good plan, and the staff know it. The most important piece to a lockdown or a bomb threat drill is to the staff know it, and they've got it down. The staff know it too. Co-curricular opportunities. First of all, getting involved. Talked to the student body today about getting involved. Grade point averages tend to go up. We look at our clubs and co-curriculars as falling underneath gifted and talented. I like to use FFA as a prime example of that. The FFA, great opportunity for speaking skills, great opportunity for leadership skills, great opportunity for organizational types of skills. There are a number of things, hands-on opportunities through FFA, showmanship through FFA. There's a number of things that fall under that gifted and talented umbrella. The list goes on and on. That's true for FBLA, that's true for all kinds of clubs. And I don't know if you ever looked on the WINS website, but Jefferson High School ranks right towards this top in the state of Wisconsin with the number of students involved in clubs and co-curriculars. We're way up there. And part of it is we're a relatively small high school, 600 students in our high school, and we offer just as many or close to as many clubs as a larger high school does. So there's more opportunities that are spread out. So kids are involved. We encourage your child to get involved in those opportunities. This chance goes away. We ran a little test here with the students today. We we asked the staff, how many staff members are still playing on a football team? No hands went up. How many staff members are playing in a tennis league? No hands went up. How many staff members are, in a drama performance? No hands went up. Now is your chance. We don't get that opportunity as adults. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade get involved. We just strongly encourage the kids to get involved with that. Again, we're way up in the state of Wisconsin with this. There's a sign-up process coming up on Tuesday and Wednesday this next week. Tuesday for the juniors and seniors, Wednesday for the sophomores and freshmen. So a week from tomorrow, clubs and all those enrichments opportunities to sign up for that. And we ask you, we just really encourage students to get involved. Grade point averages tend to be a little higher. They tend to get better with their organizational skills, time management. So it's good to get involved. In athletics, reading these off to you, in the fall, football, volleyball, soccer, tennis, swimming, and cross country. I realize that the fall sports have already started. I guess I should be careful when I say this, but I would suspect that some of those sports would still take people on. Am I fairly accurate in that when you say, Mr. G, in terms of, freshmen? You bet. Freshmen, even if you're starting late, we'd rather you get started. It's good to get plugged in and get going right away. Winter sports, girls and boys basketball, gymnastics, wrestling, and swimming. And then finally in the spring, baseball, softball, soccer, track, and golf. Weight room and aerobics room, we have posted hours after school. And then we mentioned again, travel and police form. I know for you guys, if you raise your hand, I'm sure you'd say that's a pain. But it's a part of insurance, and you can print this off online, but we do ask that if we're going, if you're going to go to an away event, you're going to East Troy, and you decide, especially for those who live up by Sullivan, I live up by Sullivan, if I'm going to East Troy, I drive all the way back into Jefferson, wait for my child to get off the bus, and then drive all the way back up to Sullivan, I'd rather they hop in the car with me as well. Sign the release form, it has to be signed each time. You can't sign one for the season, it has to be every single time. And it's a pain, I realize that, but it's a part of our insurance companies asking us to have those signatures, so we just ask you to help us out in that. And sometimes the coach will say, hey, I want all the athletes in the bus, we have to have a discussion afterwards, and we ask you to respect that as well. Music. Think of this for a school of 600 students. Band, jazz band, steel drums, marching band. Our band trip, this year I believe New York. And parades and solo ensemble and vocal music, choir, vocal jazz, select women's, concert, treble, tours, choir trip, and again solo ensemble. It's a fair amount to offer at a school our size. The band department knew this year, we started the marching band prior to the school year starting and heard positive stuff on that. So we've had our band already present at the home football games on Friday nights. The very first home game, they were already rocking and rolling. And then we've also got the 0-hour class for jazz band on Tuesday. What is it? Mondays and Wednesdays. Thank you. Mondays and Wednesdays. 0-hour class. What time, Brianna? 7. 7 o'clock. Okay, here at the high school. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think we're going to start the steel drums sometime yet this year. That's new to us. We haven't had the steel drum band going in a long time, but that'll get back going. We'll get information out to students that are interested in that. Communication. And oh, how that's changed over the years as well. Yes. There is no bowling. Yep. We talked about LBA looking at it, but it still has been a no-go for a while. Yeah. Leagues in town. Yeah. Nothing through the school system. Our FIAD department's done some stuff over the years. We still do that. Run a bowling through FIAD, but not the league itself. WIA has turned it down over the years, and I may not be quoting this accurately. I think part of the reason WIA has turned it down is that it's almost always in the same place that serves alcohol. It can't mesh. So, a couple things. I know I'm not turning this into too long of a conversation, so I'm going to try to cut this short. When I look at that list of communication, power school, power grade, auto alert phone calls, auto alert emails, electronic newsletters, postal mails for people that don't have email. Oh, by the way, we ask, if you do have email, we'd love to save the dollars, going green. Let us email the newsletters home instead. I think we probably postal mail home the last one to about 80 families, grand total. The rest of them all had electronic, and we'll still do that. If you don't have email at home, we'll certainly throw the stamp on it and send it home. But if you haven't given us an email address, we'd rather go this route. Just go green. It saves us some time. It saves us some energy. We'll look at our attendance line. Teacher contact information with voicemail, email, classroom web pages. I know the web pages still need some work yet. We're still working on it. And the school district of Jefferson and high school web pages. Go ahead.
What's the difference between the power grade and power school?
Power grade are the grades. Power school is all the other stuff. Lunch accounts, looking at how much money's remaining, looking up attendance, all that kind of stuff. Okay? It's the same username and password to get in. When I look at all that, plus the fact that almost always they're told in homeroom, it's posted on a board somewhere, it's on a sign somewhere. Their first hour teacher probably shared it. Maybe their second hour teacher forgot, but the fourth hour teacher said it. And then at the end of the day, and they're likely it was a PA announcement. And then they come home and you say, "What'd you do in school today?" "Nothing." And then oh hey, weren't you supposed to bring a form home for that whatever field trip? I don't know. I didn't hear anything about it. And it's been all over. So the communication is there. I can almost guarantee they've been told at some point in time. Go ahead, Roberta.
The daily announcements it's up to the teacher to print them off and read them in class, is that right?
The daily announcements are read over the PA.
But are they printed and
No.
posted?
They're not? Oh, I'm
Are
sorry.
they posted anywhere, like in the cafeteria? Because I think there have been instances where I don't know if it's third hour or what hour, the teacher just doesn't do it.
Okay.
So could they be posted?
We'll make sure they get right off.
They're
one thing,
posted
but
daily on the
they can be
webpage.
posted.
No, somewhere where the students can see them during the day.
And I don't know on that.
Another thing we're also looking at, Roberta, is down the line. I'd like to get a scrolling screen in the morning down in the commons. They have the announcements scrolled up in the morning when kids are walking in, so they can see them when they're there. We just don't have all the technology flying right now to make it work, but that'll happen as well. But we'll make sure people are reading it. I thought they were read. I thought I heard Mike Meyer reading them all the time.
Just you and me.
Okay. Okay. So he reads a little bit, then the announcements are printed, or we read them in third hour. I didn't know that. All right. But with all that, a ton of communication, and likely they've been told. Most likely, there's been some sort of communication that's gone out.
Is there still a way to keep track of their homework that should be done?
In terms of power grade, yeah, it's the same system we use at the middle school. You can log on, click on the grade, it'll come up, it'll show every grade, A in this class, B in that class, C in that class. You can click on the C, open it up, it'll tell you which assignments are missing, etc. Okay. The drawback to that is that's after the fact. It was already due. Okay. On the other end, if you look on the web page, talk about what is assigned for the upcoming week or couple weeks. I've asked staff members to say update that web page about once every 10 school days, so it's accurate for the upcoming 10 days. This is what's coming up and this is what's due. Okay. Getting prepared for the future. That's kind of why I'm here. Counselors, parents, and students. That connection begins to happen on a less formal basis in the freshman year. And then part of the Wisconsin counseling model is for our counseling staff to meet with every single sophomore during their sophomore year and their parents, and then every single senior during their senior year and their parents. So on a much more formal approach, sophomore and senior year. Informally, freshman and junior year. We'll talk about what's coming up, what are your grades, what are your goals, what are the results on the Explore test, on the Plan test. We'll talk about those types of things. How have you done on the MAP test, and where is this going to take you? Are you on track in terms of where you want to go? What about all this testing? If you'd have asked me this about 12 years ago, I would have said, and I still would say that. If I go back nuts. It still does to some degree just because it's a lot of work, but it's gotten better. The standardized testing is better. It's more accurate. It's a better picture of how we're doing as a school. It's a better picture of how your youngsters are doing in classrooms. It's a better predictor of how they're going to do it down the road. And so if you make this comparison, if I look at 1950 to 2013, okay, here's what you needed to graduate from high school in 1950. And there were plenty of people, my grandparents included, who they dropped out of school in 8th grade and they did just fine. They got a great job, raised their family, they did well. All of a sudden, things changed. And you got to about the 1970s and 1980s, and it was a little bit closer. You definitely had to go to high school. Maybe you could drop out sometime in the middle of high school, age of 16 or so, and still do fine, but it changed. But this expectation here was still the same. This is what you needed to go on to a 4-year school. This is what you needed if you were going to go get a decent job and do well. Then all of a sudden, the bar raised a little more. And there was a greater likelihood of, you know what, you need to head off to a 4-year school. Although, it didn't happen. Now all of a sudden, what's happened is even students that are saying, you know what, 4-year school isn't for me, and maybe even a 2-year school isn't for me. But the expectation of what you had to learn to exit high school and go straight into the world of work is the same as what you needed to learn and go straight into a 4-year school or a 2-year school. Okay? And so it didn't matter which route you were going, what you needed to learn to be successful was equal. So we needed to get everybody to that point. Whereas you used to say, you know what, I need to get these students to this point, but I need to get these students to this point. And that was acceptable at one point in time. It's no longer acceptable. Now everybody's got to get to that point in order to find that success. Okay? So this was all put together by ACT. ACT said this is what you need to do to graduate as a senior and be successful. Working backwards, take the plan test as a sophomore. That's a part of the ACT family of tests. We take the Explore test. We take that this year as freshmen. That's new to us. We've taken it in 8th and 7th grade the last couple of years at the middle school. I'm not aware of another school district that takes it to 7th grade. It's a tough test for a 7th grader. It's designed for 8th and 9th graders. And what that does is it gives you a predictability of how will you do on that ACT test. And if they try, the accuracy that is dang good. It's got about an 80 to 85% accuracy. If they try it on the Explore test with about 80 to 85% accuracy, you can predict how they're going to do on that ACT test. Okay? Map testing, same type of thing, 80 to 85% accuracy. But along with that map testing is we get the results back in about 24 hours. Whereas the ACT Plan and Explore takes months before you get those results back. So we can get the results back and a teacher can look at that and say, hey, you know what? We're struggling as a class in this little area. I need to emphasize this. And that's what the map test does for us. It allows us to alter our instruction based on the results for individual kids. Okay? Map testing tests all subjects right now other than social studies. It's not designed for that yet. Lit score, I talked about that already. Jefferson High School just got its ACT test results for this last batch of students that just left for high school this last school year. And we're above the state average. We're amongst the highest in the area high schools. And we're right there in terms of setting some goals. We've actually achieved a few of the goals we set the last couple of years. And we're right there. We're looking pretty good in that regard. So making some great progress. Our staff has done a great job of some focus on that from kindergarten all the way up. Homeroom teachers, students met those folks today. You meet on Tuesdays. Homeroom, every single 9th through 12th grader will meet in the homeroom on Tuesdays. And the question is, why do we meet? Why go to homeroom? You think about all of these pieces that fall together under the guidance model, the academic component. We have to have some time in our day, sometime in our week, I should say. This is once a week on Tuesdays, sometime in our week to say, how did you do on that map test? How did you do on the Explore test? What does this mean for you? What kind of goals do you want to set? Let's learn how to write a SMART goal. A goal is measurable, it's attainable. Where are you going to be at? What did you fill out in terms of this year are kind of birthed out of that freshman academy we've had the last several years. That transition team, again, made up, I think it started about 8 or 9 years ago, and that group put together today's freshman only first day, getting that whole piece organized, and starting from freshman all the way up, we might even do things at the freshman level about just simply organizing backpacks and binders and lockers, just to that organizational piece to life, and then a little less of that, a lot less of that as a sophomore, so very little as a senior. By then they should be organizing their own locker when they're 18 years old and, ready to vote. So, again, we talked about curriculum, private review meetings, field trips, freshman only first day. That group of teachers, Mr. Gatto led the charge on that, did a great job putting together the activities here for today. I think took the edge off the students today. We'll also talk about challenge. We ask you guys, take down the challenge. If you're not sure, is that class too tough for me or not? Should my child try that class? Take the challenge. Give it a shot. AP classes. We now offer, somebody help me out, 12, 13 AP classes. Basically. Pardon me? 11 here and 5 online. Many schools can offer an online class, but 11 face-to-face classes, we're right up there with any school district in the area in terms of how many AP classes. In fact, I think we might be more than anybody in the area that are offered. And the availability of those classes really prepares children for that next step. And if you're not sure, take the challenge, give it a shot. Encourage your child to give an AP class a try. Singleton classes, we've got a number of singleton classes that are also challenging. Everything from band and jazz band to various art classes to a variety of others that I think are worth their while. 4 languages, we added Latin to our 4 language department this year, so that's exciting to see Mr. Klecker involved with that. I think he's got 3 or 4 sections of Latin. And that wraps it up. Anybody, just by show of hands, I'm just curious, anybody interested in a tour after this? Couple. Okay. Hang around afterwards, we take out a tour. Everybody else is good. I'll take a couple of questions. Do you have any right now?
Just when you were talking about the door buzzer, and you might have said it, during the school day, what door are you supposed to come in? If
By the flags.
By the flag.
Yep. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
When you're talking with the technology and clothing, what was the AUC?
Acceptable use policy. Every child has to sign a policy that they'll agree to our rules. You probably signed that at registration. Okay? 6:45. Doors are open. Okay? Go ahead.
How often are locker combinations changed?
Every summer.
Every summer?
Yep. Mr. Danzer goes through, he's got an assistant to it. He walks down the hall and every one of them's changed every summer. Yep.
What about gym lockers combinations? Are they responsible for their own?
Mr. Featherston?
Are responsible for their own lock. You can buy it here at school for $5 in the office, or you can bring one. But once you buy it, it's your lock, and that's the one you should use.
I'm assuming if you have your own, then school registers the combo.
Yes,
If they bring their own from home, we register the combination. It has to be combo lock, not a key lock.
correct.
Okay. Okay. Gym lockers, you guys all hear that? You bring your own lock from home, it's got to be registered so we can get in. If it's a key lock, we got to get in. We use a snippers to break it if we have to. So, okay. That's it.
Right up, one here, one here.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Is there combo lock then for their hallway lockers or just?
It's a combo lock for the hallway locks, and that's built right into the locker. It's permanent there. Okay.
Has there been any discussion on increasing the time to change classes? I don't know what the count is. Are there more students in the high school this year?
We're a little more than we've had, but we're at 4 minutes right now, and it's worked pretty well. From what I understand, not a lot of tardies. It used to be 3 minutes, it went to 4 minutes. I'd rather not increase it much more, because it just starts taking time out of the classroom. Yep.
We were under construction, we had longer periods where construction ended.
Oh,
Teachers agreed that we were kind of sitting around staring at each other.
okay.
Kids were in the room and we were just kind of all waiting for a bell to ring.
That's right, you had like a 6-minute pass.
kept 6 for a while, when the school opened, it was a waste of everyone's time, so we went back to 4, we had that problem.
Okay.
As far as the technology going to be bringing things into class, what about the children that are not allowed to have that kind of stuff yet?
Not allowed to have a what?
The internet on the phone or iPads or iPods?
It's, if it's allowed, doesn't mean it's required. So if they don't have it, if a child doesn't own an iPad or own a laptop or own a cell phone, we certainly have devices here. It's not that we can't, we have availability of, we have 2 cows, computers on wheels that can be carted into classrooms. There's 4 computer labs we can get to, actually 5 computer labs we can get to, so there's availability. It's not that it's required.
The internet on the phone thing, though, was a little weird. If they don't have the internet on the phone, that's not going to affect any of the classes that, their education for any of the classes, is it?
No.
I don't know how you guys are sharing.
No, we're not requiring that piece. Okay? Let me mention one other thing with that internet and the phone. I meant to say this, I forgot to, is that if a child's bringing their own device to school, even if we did have that policy in place, that if we said keep them at home, if they're accessing, not using our Wi-Fi, and they're using whatever you have, or
Hotspot.
your phone, whatever that is, your bills could be skyrocketing. So we're not responsible for those bills. That's on your own. You bought the phone for your child, so be aware that keep an eye on what they're monitoring.
But they can access your Wi-Fi, or you guys
They can.
protect it?
Yes, they should. That's what we want them to use.
Okay.
Our Wi-Fi is screened. Now, I'll be blunt and say it, there's creepies out there that try getting through our firewall and breaking the system down. So our firewall updates itself. It's like once every 24 hours. I don't know what time of night it updates itself to stop this stuff from coming in. But unfortunately, there's creepos out there that try to attack it. And it's possible that a child could get into some inappropriate site on our system. But we hear about it, it changes, and it updates every 24 hours. So, it's pretty good. I mean, we purposely buy good stuff for that reason. Okay? I'll take one last question. Anything else? And I'll take some tours. That's it. Thanks for coming, you guys.
One question at the webpage.